everybody. Welcome to 500 Open Tabs. I'm Hannah Hillam.
And I'm Kavit Taharian. Welcome back to the show. We had an interesting time this morning before we started recording. Usually, Hannah comes in, as you might expect,
frantic
in her pig pen-like state with swirl lines everywhere. This morning, she was like, "No, I'm good. Let's get ready to record." And I was like, "This doesn't feel right." And
no.
Thankfully, the universe was like, "No, we need to ruin everything first before you guys start recording," even though everybody was calm. So now we're
can
up
I
to
tell
speed.
you something? I feel more
Absolutely.
comfortable now. I feel more comfortable.
I
needed
worried.
like chaos. Like things were too calm, and it really worried me.
I was really worried.
I like how you were like, "Are you going to kill yourself because you're too happy?" But yeah, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. Just quick story before we start. Speaking of the Vril being off, I thought you would laugh at this. That I had a really cool fountain pen that which was purchased for me that I really liked, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool," and I hadn't used it for a little bit, and so I think the nib dried out a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to replace the ink in the inside because I was like, "Oh, what's going on back and forth?" Immediately just ruined my favorite pair of shorts because I am that guy that wears like one pair of shorts every day in the summertime and have to wash it.
I'm that person with pants.
Yeah. Covered in black ink, ruined. However,
you are an artist.
No, not just. I don't care about that. I don't actually like wearing dirty clothes. That's not my style.
No, I do. See, I'm down with it. Pigpen.
Yeah, but because I am, over 40, I'm like, well, I had thought ahead and purchased another pair of shorts because I was like, I like these shorts. I should buy another pair just in case.
Are they from Costco?
Of course they are.
Oh, so sorry. Did I tell you how I went to Costco the other day wearing all Costco clothes without realizing it?
That's that's incredible.
I'm here. I'm in a slow descent to midlife. It's fine.
No, you got to listen to Shang Wang. Did you ever see his stand-up where he's just like, "Oh, that's when the second half of your life begins."
When you wear Costco?
Yeah. I fully believe in that. Anyway.
Oh, I do too.
It had a happy ending. Unfortunately, I now don't have a second backup pair of shorts. So I'm going to try and go and buy another pair if it's still on sale.
I think you might need to go to Costco.
I think I'm going to go, yeah.
I think you need to do that. I think you need to buy some hot dog, too. Some hot dog.
Always. Hot, singular, just some hot dog.
Some hot dog, just part of one hot dog. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my morning. I thought you would laugh at it. Yeah, let's do it. I think
I'm sorry. Did I not laugh enough? No. Sorry. I'm trying to make this chaos. I don't know how to not.
Okay, good.
It's too calm.
Good. It's too calm.
So, yeah, I'm ready if you are.
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready. I went first last week. I believe it is your turn to go first this week. Words
just suck. Okay? All right. So my tab this week is an article from grapevine.is, which is it's called the Reykjavik Grapevine, and it's a newspaper in Iceland. And it is the title of it is The Literary Mystery of the Icelandic Dracula. And yes. So I was funny story. Yeah. So the Icelandic Dracula is pretty bonkers. And I was like, oh, I should dress up, I got to make myself look undead. And I started thinking, and I was like, I'll just come as I usually come.
Yeah,
and
you're all ready to go.
I'm like, I already look like a Dracula lady. My mom used to be like, Hannah, you look dead. Put some color on your face. You look dead. So yeah, Mom, it's serving me well now. The Icelandic Dracula. I say Icelandic Dracula because it is different. We're going to start at 2014. All right. And a dude, of course, I don't have his name.
Let's just give him a name. He's from Iceland?
Ivan. That's a Russian name.
Ivan.
Whatever. His name's Jimmy.
The only Icelandic name I know is Bjork. That's it. I don't know any other Icelandic names.
Well, you're going to hear a few more. So a translator was looking through this manuscript in 2014, and he realized, he was like, this says this is the translation for Dracula in Icelandic, but this isn't the same story. Mm-hmm. And he discovered that for the past 100 years, Iceland has had a completely different story than everyone else.
I love that.
And so he was like, what? And so then they get going, they're like, oh, we have to figure out how to translate this to English.
I already love this. It's just a guy that was hired to be the translator, clearly didn't speak English or whatever language he was translating it from. He just made it up, and no one noticed for 100 years.
He spoke English, but he didn't think Dracula was good as it was. So This goes back to 1901, right? And Dracula has been out for about 4 years, written by Bram Stoker. And it's kind of gained popularity pretty quickly. It was very popular. People loved it. And it still is popular. It's been made into films like 30 plus times. Are you familiar with the story?
I mean, I know the adaptation I'm most familiar with is the Coppola one from 1991. It's literally called Bram Stoker's Dracula. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming because it's called Bram Stoker's Dracula that it's the most accurate to the book, because he decided to put the author's name on top of the film, like above the credits. But I have no idea. I love that movie, by the way.
Is it good? I gotta listen. I mean, watch.
It's really just as a sidebar. It was like it was early '90s, and Coppola was like, "Oh, I want to make this movie in a way that sort of feels like the 1920s and 30s, like before,
cool.
like when it was like all in camera effects. So it sort of has this old timey effect, and then." What's her name? I think that was his first collaboration with, I believe her name was Aiko Ishioka, she was the very famous costume designer who just did these incredible costumes, incredible costuming.
I gotta watch it.
Deep blood red. Actually, the opening of that film is something that I saw when I was like, I don't know, 13, 14.
Too young.
And then I was like, this is amazing. I don't know. Some people think it's like cheesy and kind of like overly operatic, but that is the character, I think. Yeah.
And it fits with the actual story, which is like a soap opera, you know?
It's it's very soap opera-y, and it made me understand. I'm like, oh, this is because Dracula's. It's really a love story, is what it is.
So this guy,
I'm actually sorry. I should just say I'm more familiar with the characters than I am with actually the original story.
That's how I was too.
I'll just say that, yeah.
Because they've become these like
Van Helsing and Renfield and all this stuff.
Renfield, yeah.
Which was a fun movie, by the way. It was more goofy. I liked it more than
There's
I thought.
So many. The
Nicolas Cage one that came out a couple years ago.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Really insane and kind of funny. Anyway, I got really excited. You asked me about like Dracula, and I was like, let me tell you about 37,000 different movies that I've seen.
That's why I asked.
That I liked. Yes.
So it was translated, and I should say, quote unquote, translated in 1901 by a dude named Valdemar Osmundson.
And Lord Voldemort.
Exactly. I heard it. I was like, Voldemort? Valdemar Osmundson was a newspaper owner in Iceland, and he had his own newspaper. So he was like, oh, this story's kind of cool. I'm going to start translating it and then putting it into my own newspaper and like serializing it. Yeah. And so if you're not familiar with like the story of Dracula, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to them. I'm going to just kind of go over it really quick. And if it goes a little long, we can stick my summary in Patreon or something. But the story of Dracula, it was written by Bram Stoker in 1897, and did you know he was Irish? Anglo-Irish?
I don't think I knew anything about Bram Stoker, actually.
He's like he worked for like a theater. He was just like a theater guy.
That's
not
cool.
An actor, like administrative. Anyway, he wrote the gothic horror novel Dracula in 1897. And it is interesting in that it's told through the letters, newspapers, telegrams, and other ephemera. So it's not like a linear story.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was kind of cool for its time. He was messing around with it a little bit.
Yeah, genre.
And so to summarize the plot for those who don't know, it's about this young English real estate agent / solicitor named Jonathan Harker, who goes to Transylvania to help his client, Dracula, buy a mansion in England, because Dracula needs more people to drink blood from. And he would like to go to England to do that. And Jonathan's an idiot, though, because he's like, all the peasants are like, don't go, don't do it. And he's like, well, I don't care. And he just gets attacked by wolves. And he's like, that's not foreshadowing. I just need to keep going to this castle. And he gets up there.
So no one remembers if you got attacked by wolves. All they remember is your legacy, how much money you had in crypto.
Yes. And lines going up on the whatever stock market. Yeah. Big line, big money.
Diamond hands.
Diamond. Yep, hodl. He just wanted to hodl, dude. That's all he wanted. He wanted to. Anyway, so he gets up there and Dracula, the crypto bro. Just kidding. That would be horrific. Can you imagine how unbearable would Dracula be if he was also a crypto bro?
Listen, I could see it. He's got wealth from a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
So I could see him reinvesting it in crypto.
So Jonathan gets to the castle and he's like, this place is nuts. Also, this Dracula guy seems fine. And he soon realizes, because he seems polite, and he's like, this guy's an ancient weirdo, but whatever. And he realizes soon that he's in deep danger because he watches Dracula just climb up the wall like a lizard. Normal things And he's like, maybe that's how they do it in Transylvania, but they don't. He's
like, I don't want to be culturally disrespectful.
Yeah, he's like, maybe they just climb walls like lizards
he's
here.
He's like, listen, I'm here to listen, okay? I'm not here to judge other cultures.
And to sell you a mansion. Yeah. So he ends up freaking out because, like, then these 3 hot vampire ladies are, like, seducing him. And he's like, oh, no, I have a fiance. You know, the problem we all run into at least once. And he tries to just crawl out a window and escape. And he does. And he ends up out of his mind in a Budapest hospital. So, meanwhile, Dracula goes to England, right?
Right.
And he starts terrorizing this woman, Lucy. I don't know. Lucille?
Yeah,
Lucy.
I think Lucille Bluth, yes.
Yeah, Lucille Bluth is there. And then Mina, who's Jonathan's fiance, is her friend. And Lucy's like, I keep getting proposed to, and I wish I could just marry all of them. I want it to be a pretty much talking about wanting to be polyamorous.
Yeah,
which was crazy for the time. And she can't figure out who to marry. And then she gets all sick. And Mina's like, oh no. And then she hears that her fiance's like insane and in a hospital. And so she goes to, wherever he is, Budapest. So Dracula gets on a boat and moves to England. And this boat, he like slowly kills everyone on board because he can't help it. Except for the captain What?
I was going to say, which is another movie that came out a couple years ago that's all
really?
about like the voyage of the ship. Yeah. I forget. The name is escaping me right now, but I've been meaning to watch it. Yeah. Which I saw parts of it. I was like, this is metal as shit. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's been like in my queue to watch at some point. I haven't watched it yet, but
the voyage is like, it's like so creepy on its own because he's slowly picking off people on the boat and everyone's freaking out.
Yeah.
It's like a whole horror movie on its own.
It's classic horror structure. Yeah, absolutely.
The last person on the boat is the captain, who he ties to the
mast?
Steering wheel?
Steering wheel.
And then he turns into a wolf because Dracula is also a shapeshifter. I don't know if you knew this.
Dracula's so awesome. I'm just like, yes!
If we ever do Kumatab again, I know who's winning.
Dracula's going to win everything. He's cool as shit.
Except the Michelin Man doesn't have blood, so we'll see.
It's true.
God,
I really want you to watch the Coppola version now because most of the stuff you've talked about is in there.
Oh, sorry.
You're just like, no. I mean, like I'm excited because I'm remembering it from the film.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I'm just like, yeah, that part was cool, and then that was awesome, and then that shit was crazy. Like it's really cool.
I'm glad I'm following the plot, and they did a good job. So the boat gets there, and the captain's the only one alive, and Dracula turns into a wolf thing, dark thing, and jumps off the boat and can be seen like lurking in graveyards. And Lucy, Mina's friend, starts going nuts and feeling super sick. And one of her fiancés is a doctor, and the other one's an American millionaire, and the other one's just some guy. And the doctor is like, we got to look at her. What's going on? Because she starts to like show these like a bite
marks. Yeah.
She starts sleepwalking, which is weird because in the book they blame it on her dad being a slut.
On her dad being a slut?
Yeah, they're like, her dad slept around
That's
a lot.
Progressive.
I know.
They're slut shaming the man. Good for them. Good
they're
for Bram
slut shaming
Stoker.
the dad. Yeah,
that's good.
And then they're like, yeah, her dad was a slut, and now genetically she's insane. So
totally, because
Victorians
famously transfers from the dad sluttiness
to being insane,
to being a woman slut. Yes, no, that's how it goes. That's what science would tell us back in the day.
Yes,
100%.
So she ends up sleepwalking into cemeteries and seeing this black dog, and Mina, they lay her down and put garlic all over the room, and they're like, there's a Dracula on the loose. Actually, that's not what they say, but you know what I mean.
They're like, it's Dracula in time. It's like the titular line game. It's Morbin time.
It's Dracula in time. No, I think maybe
it was when Morbius, the terrible Jared Leto movie, came out, and
then,
no one saw it, and then there was this social media campaign where everybody was like, "Oh man, I wish that we could see that movie and just have him." Because my favorite line was like, "It's Morbin time." It was this bullshit thing they came up with, and somebody at the studio was like, "Yeah, okay, we should re-release." It was a total disaster.
Of course,
it's like
you can't.
The greatest win of collective bullying of studios.
Besides the Sonic's teeth.
Yeah, that one's a good one too.
That one's a good one. And that worked well. Anyway, Lucy is like, oh, I'm so sick. And the doctor's like, I still want to marry you and I'm going to help you. And then he's like, I got to ask my old friend Van Helsing for help because this looks like a job for a vampire hunter.
Yeah. And Hugh Jackman shows up.
And he's also Australian, turns out.
Right.
I did know that one.
I'm assuming you have not seen the Van Helsing starring Hugh Jackman. That's why
I actually have.
You have seen that one?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw it in the theater. I thought it in theaters. They're like, bro, Van Helsing's like, bro, she is a vampire. And everyone's like, whatever. No, she's not. Because she dies, right? The wolf comes back and kills her. And then everyone's like, she's not a vampire. And Van Helsing's like, yes, she absolutely is. Look. And they look and she's just like eating it, like sucking the blood out of a kid. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's definitely not a dead person.
It's because her dad's a slut. That's why. It has nothing to do with her being a vampire.
Daughter of a slut.
Yeah.
Sluts are immortal.
I just want a shirt that says like slut dad or something that I could wear.
Dad slut.
Dad slut. Maybe that's conjuring up the wrong kind of image now.
No, not at all.
Slut daddy? I don't know.
Slut. Daddy slut.
Daddy slut? I guess I'm thinking of Leather Daddy. Again, it's all come back to Arrested Development.
Arrested Development, yeah.
I want something that says Leather Daddy, but it's like, I want something that says Slut Daddy.
Slut Daddy.
Victorian Slut Daddy specifically. It's very different.
Just shorts. Just wear the shorts with the ink on them. They'll be like, that's a sloppy, messy, horrible man.
Look at his legs. He's a disaster.
So, remember how Mina went to Budapest to help Jonathan?
Yeah, to break him out.
They come back. Mm-hmm. And they come back and they're like, oh, you definitely like cut Lucy's head off, because that's what they had to do. Van Helsing's like, stab her in the heart, chop her head off, and fill her mouth with garlic, as is tradition. Mm-hmm. And Mina and Jonathan are like, oh, it's Dracula. And everyone's like, Jonathan, you can't sell property to murderers. Immortal murderers, especially. And now we got to destroy him before he kills Mina, too, because he starts to, get in Mina's head.
You have to wear the cone of shame today for the real estate agency. You do not get to come to the pizza party on Friday because you sold to an immortal murderer. You do not get the weekly bonus of an extra set of steak knives.
There is no Christmas bonus. There's no Christmas raffle. Nothing for you, Jonathan.
Coffee is for closers, and you are not a good closer.
No. In fact, you're the worst real estate agent England's ever seen.
You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch. I'm just quoting all movies today. Anyway, continue.
I actually knew that one, I think. Now they're all like, we got to kill him. And so Dracula runs away. And he's like, ooh, get out of here. Uh-oh, someone caught me. I gotta go home.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. He I don't know,
like blood coming out of his mouth the entire time.
Who, me? Little old me?
He's just gaslighting everybody.
He's like, me? Never.
Yeah, no.
He runs away back to his Transylvania castle, and they all follow, and then they're like, they ambush him, they get him, they cut his head off, they kill him, and Mina is no longer sick with vampirism or whatever. And everyone lives happily ever after, except one of the fiancés of Lucy gets killed in the fight, and it was the American millionaire. Yeah. So we were disposable in this story.
Yeah, thanks a lot, anti-American.
So that's the story.
Right.
In a nutshell-ish, what's his name? Valdemar.
Lord Voldemort, right.
Is like, I think this might need way more boobs. And
listen, already on board with this.
Same,
this
dude.
man is a genius. I love it.
He was like, there's not enough tits in this.
Yes.
And I'm going to add some more. And so he starts writing his own fan fiction of Dracula. And he's like, you know what else it needs is Satanism. And
dude, this guy's the best.
Oh, yeah, dude. I want to read this version so bad. It sounds amazing. And here's the thing, though. It's pretty similar, right? Until it gets to the castle. So Jonathan has been renamed Thomas for some reason. Who cares? Right, there's boobs. And it takes Thomas Jonathan, I'm just going to say Harker. Takes Harker way longer to realize he's a prisoner. Because he just spends time being horrified left and right in Dracula's castle by all these things that are going on, including the 3 vampire chicks are gone, right? But they're replaced with Dracula's... No, but they're replaced by another one. Dracula's female relative named Josephine, who may or may not be his niece.
He's keeping it Josie.
Damn, you beat me to the joke, dude.
Sorry.
I was going to say he's keeping a Josie.
Keeping a Josie, okay.
So Josie is like this... may or may not be his niece, but she's super hot and she's immortal and sexy, and she gets Harker all obsessed with her. And
like Auga style, like eyes popping out of his head.
Where he's like
he turns into a wolf for a moment and just bangs the table. Yeah.
He can't keep his eyes off of her because Josie just tits out all the time. Just nothing on top. And she'll be either covered in blood or diamonds and, classy.
But this sounds cool because it sounds like he didn't just arbitrarily say it takes him a long time to realize that he's being held captive. It's like all of these things are what any I shouldn't say normal, but like most of us who are a little bit insane would just be like, what? This is metal as shit. What the hell is that? This is awesome. Wait, I'm prisoner? Am I sure? I don't know. Maybe.
Do I like this?
Yeah.
I might like it here.
Yeah.
And so I love Voldemort. I love him so much. So Valdemar Osmondson spends a lot of time talking about boobs. Like a lot of it is like describing boobs, what they look like, who has them, what are they wearing. It's hot. And Harker wanders around at night and finds a basement filled with other vampires. And can you guess what they're doing in there?
Each other?
Orgy.
Yeah.
So this has way more vampire orgies and satanic rituals, like literally praising and worshiping Satan in the basement after their orgy.
I don't know if I can make it to the end of this tab without like busting out and wanting to read the entire thing in one fell swoop.
Simmer down.
Yeah. I'm all hot and bothered.
I'm a little bit too, to be honest. We should get a Dracula. We should get Josie on our podcast, but not the ones we know. We should get the Hot Dracula.
One.
I think
Hot Dracula vampire niece.
We'd both explode. We'd both just like, oh no. Okay, so another huge difference is that Dracula will not shut up about politics. So he's just...
Listen, it's got a little bit of everything. You can go look at boobies, and then you can go discuss politics with somebody, which you know me, I love to debate for sport. I don't even care if I like agree with them.
I love
just
politics.
Fun to argue. Yeah.
Boobs, politics, so far I'm on board.
Yeah.
All right?
And you don't have to pay to be there, I'm assuming, right? Like you're being held captive. Like this sounds great.
I'm his guest.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see where this is like bad for anyone.
I'm deciding when I'm not into this anymore. Yeah. And so far, I'm into it. Maybe not watching people get sacrificed because they did do that a lot too. So,
I mean, I could just go in the other room. I don't have to watch it. Maybe there's something on TV I can go check out.
Right. Just watching TV at an orgy. That's your goal. That's what you do.
I feel like that would be a good slug
band
if I
name?
ever. No, if I ever got back onto like the dating apps, God forbid, but if I ever had to, I'd be I'm watching TV during an orgy would be like my little slug line.
So he can't shut up about politics, and he can't shut up about how much he hates Christians. So he would have loved Reddit, like just thrived on Reddit.
This is like our goth king right now, basically.
Yeah, but he's a little bit like the atheist in the way that it's like, all right, I get it.
Oh, we get that you don't believe in God. Like
I get it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's like 100 years ago, it's a little bit like. It's a little bit more forgivable because at that time that was like new to like really be like that.
Oh
to
yeah,
that extent. That's a new.
No
thing.
one was ever out saying like I don't believe in God. And Darwinism is like very recent.
Yeah, it's true.
And speaking of Darwinism, that is all the book talks about is that Dracula is a huge proponent of social Darwinism, which means the weak need to be destroyed and the strong need to rule. Mm-hmm. And all he talks about is that. And Dracula's like, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take over Europe, and I'm in with all these governments. And he's got like,
see, now it's starting to sound
getting
like
Hitler.
Insufferable.
Oh, very insufferable, dude. He won't stop. He's just like, the reason I want a mansion in London is so I can have a secret society where we plot to overtake all the European countries. And
just stick to boobies and like complaining about politics. Like that's all we need as human beings.
Yes. That's it.
And TV's during an orgy. You can watch TV during an orgy. That's all we want.
You gotta take a break from the orgy.
People they can never be happy with what they've got. That's the sad part.
So yeah, he won't shut up about any of that. And he organizes these secret societies and he wants property in London. So here's the funny part is that in this one, the property in London is like this rundown garbage house in the East End of London. Whereas like in the original, it's this mansion,
Yeah.
And so he wants to live in this like slum and
he's a
take
shrewd
over
investor.
Europe.
Yeah, because he understands that if he goes in there, it'll raise the property value of everything around it.
He understands.
He's going to snatch everything up. You don't go buy the most expensive real estate. You don't go where it is.
He has
you go
that
where it's
in
going
Transylvania already.
Yeah,
he has
exactly.
his beautiful castle. Now he
Makes
needs
sense.
his just disgusting hole in the wall in England.
Flop house, yeah.
Flop house, exactly. So okay, here's the thing. This whole Valdemar's is all set up in 2 parts. And the first part is Jonathan's adventures to the castle, and it's told from his point of view. So he completely changed how the story was told. Okay. It was not through it wasn't through like notes or letters. It was through Jonathan's diary firsthand.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Thomas's or whatever.
Right.
And that is that whole section, the castle part with the orgies and the ladies, is 80% of this book. All right. If you remember, there's the whole part where they have to still kill Dracula and go to England and like Mina and Lucy.
The last 10% where he just
it is the
all
last 20% where he like shoves in. He's like, oh shoot, I gotta actually say what happens.
I forgot.
I gotta stop my smut. Gotta stop writing smut and actually get to the point. And he ends up shoving the last stuff into like 60 pages, whereas. First of all, the original book is like 500 pages.
Who of us has not done this?
I did that today.
Yeah.
I did that today with this tab. No. The original book was like 500 pages, and he got the whole thing down to like 250 pages or something. So he cut out like so much stuff. And then he added a few.
An excellent thing to do that I wish most scripts would do these days. Cut them down. They don't need to be 3-hour movies. They can be 90 minutes.
There's so much conversation that doesn't need to be had that can just be shown.
And there's so many more vampire tits that we could be seeing in everything.
Dude, that's all we want.
That's all we want.
Keep it Josie.
It's got a whole new meaning
suddenly
now.
Keeping it Josie is very different.
Sorry, Josies.
Yeah, sorry, Josies. I'm truly sorry.
Sorry.
So the second half is like 60 pages, and he just kind of is like, oh, and then like, yeah, Dracula goes to England to start a secret society, and there's Van Helsing, and there's this chick named Mina, and she's actually he actually like treats the women like equals, because at the time Iceland was really advanced with women's rights. Mm-hmm. They were already giving women the right to vote and to like serve in government positions and stuff. Cool. So
yeah, they
were on that. So Lucy and she changed the name to Lucy Western instead of Lucy Western.
Eastern?
Instead of Lucy's Northern, Eastern, yeah. Van Helsing is just like this footnote. It's just like, oh, this guy comes, and they all capture Dracula in his house in London and kill him. So there isn't...
It makes more sense, yeah.
It makes way more sense, I guess, yeah. And here's the thing. The article I read had so much more that I can't even get into, and I would want everyone to go click on the article in the description, because it's so well written, so well done, and it gets deeper into all of this. But here's a crazy thing that happened in 2017: is they took the new old manuscript, and they're like, we're going to translate this back into English, but it's going to be the Icelandic version, which was called Makt Myrkrana, which is Icelandic for power of darkness. Which is from one quote in the original book where they say something about power of darkness. So they decided to translate Makt Myrkrana into English, and it caught the attention of this guy named Hans de Roos. So Makt Myrkrana, it turns out, was lifted from an earlier version of this. So another lost version in Swedish.
Of Dracula?
So they have these of Dracula, the Swedish Dracula, which was lost, and then they realized later that Valdemar's isn't even the original fanfic. It's a Swedish one.
So it's a fanfic of a fanfic?
Yes.
What?
Yes. So I know. So the Swedish one kind of got lost, but it was also published in a newspaper. And that one was called Morkrits Makter, which translates to power of darkness. And then everybody's like, so wait, where did this actually come from? So they started looking into, because Bram Stoker did have some earlier drafts. And so they were like, did they somehow get a hold of an earlier draft? Yeah. And they find his earlier drafts, and there are characters in there that he cut but that are in the Swedish and Icelandic versions.
Oh,
so
okay.
somewhere down the road, they think that somehow, probably the Swedish person, got a hold of a manuscript, an early manuscript of Dracula, and then just lifted characters out of there and kind of did their own thing with them. So it went through this bizarre, like, telephone game where we don't actually know how this story came to be. No one really knows. There's no documentation. And Valdemar said it was based on a true story. That was another weird thing. He said it was by Bram Stoker and that it was based on a true story and that names had been changed to protect privacy, which is wild. And to this day, we don't know.
Did they ever find out who the person was that translated the Swedish version?
No, it was he signed his name A.E. He or she signed their name A.E. in the newspapers. And they have some ideas maybe that match the initials, but we don't really know.
Wow.
And then another cool thing is a linguist was reading through the Icelandic version, and they started thinking, this seems like this was translated from another Nordic language, not from English. So there's like little linguistic markers that were like,
yeah.
That's not from English, that's from another Nordic language, and it would make sense that it was from the Swedish one. So
fascinating.
That is the wild and a weirdly erotic story of the Icelandic Dracula, Macht Myrkina.
So this was only 2014. You said that they finally actually figured this out?
Yeah.
And then it's been translated to English now.
You can buy it.
You can buy it. And my first question is like, who's bought the rights to this? And is there a film being made of Icelandic Dracula?
That's what I wanted to know.
That's what I'm curious about.
I'm pretty sure it's in the public domain.
Well, yeah, if it's 100 years old, yeah, for sure. I just mean like, as anyone trying to make it, I guess I should say.
Ooh. I looked a lot of places, and there isn't very much about this. Like, that article I found is probably the most comprehensive, and I didn't see anything about a film or anything, but dude.
That sounds awesome.
I would love it.
That was...
Anyway, that went faster than I thought.
That was an excellent tab. I really enjoyed that. That was really strange, and I think that our linguistics tab on the Discord is going to go apeshit with that one.
Yeah, they're going to love it.
They're going to be very excited about this. It's super cool. I'm genuinely fascinated by that one.
Well,
thank you.
It's your turn, dude. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for the tab. That was a great one. But I do really want to. Again, we have this list of 1,000 movies that we're going to sit and watch like, in honor of the podcast. That one, I guess I won't explain it to you in case we ever watch it. But in terms of like this stuff, nothing's really. It's not like changed so much as like certain things are emphasized more than others.
Okay.
In the story, but it's very cool. I really like it. Again, it's an acquired taste. I know not everybody loves that adaptation of Dracula, but I don't know if they're like purists or whatever.
I don't have any like
morals,
any opinions or morals. Yeah,
morals,
gone.
Nothing.
I read Macht Myrkina, and I don't have morals anymore. So
that's cool. That's what vampire boobies will do.
I'm glad that you're also fixated on that part because I was. I was like, what?
Why would I not be? Yes.
I know. Wow. Anyway.
Hello, friends. If you're like Hannah and I, you feel deeply uncomfortable asking for help. But, as my therapist always tells me, your insurance has been declined. Please stop coming to my yoga class and crying. While I'm sorting all that out, you can go to nebula.tv/500opentabs and sign up for Nebula and help us get our lives back on track. Even better, Nebula has exclusives like Identities. Two strangers appear in a mysterious room with no way out and no memory of who they are. Identities is a sci-fi thriller directed by Jesse Earl and starring some friends of mine, like Maggie Mayfish and Abigail Thorne, as well as, and perhaps the most exciting for me, John Delancey, aka Q from Star Trek. Big deal. I had the pleasure of attending the premiere a few weeks back, and I can say for certain that this movie is a corking good time. You can find this video and dozens of other high-production originals on Nebula, a video streaming platform built by and for creators. And of course, I'm contractually obligated to tell you that subscribers get a special feed to listen to this show ad-free. Go to nebula.tv/500opentabs and get 40% off an annual subscription. By signing up, you can support other creators like Lindsay Ellis, Princess Weeks, and many more. Remember, sign up at nebula.tv/500opentabs and help my therapist enjoy their yoga class without having to hear me weep.
Your turn.
Okay, so my tab today is an interesting one. And not in the way that you would probably think. So, as you know...
I don't know what to expect from you, ever.
You shouldn't know. This is going to be even more unexpected. So, as you know, I am a Middle Eastern individual. My family's from Iran. And don't worry, it's not a tab about Iran, but I'm just letting you know this is the context of who I am. And, you know, we always hear the same old story. America and the West is only interested in oil. That's why they're there, which is mostly true because America, it's pretty correct.
It's pretty true. Yeah.
Pretty spot on. So, you know, because America and every other powerful nation throughout history has always been obsessed with stealing another country's natural resources. That's not exclusive to us. That's just a thing that's been happening forever, basically.
We do it to everybody. Don't go thinking it's just you.
Yeah. Other people have done it to other people. America didn't invent this, but we've certainly perfected it. And...
That's what I always say about the slave trade. People are like, other people were slavers. I'm like, yeah, but the Europeans really perfected it.
Really did. Yeah, they nailed it to a specific level of efficiency. And all this feels very base and kind of like, obviously. But that's the name of the game. But this is America, right? This is America.
Yes.
We will do whatever it takes to win because we're winners. Yes. Whatever CIA operation we must deny, whatever spin we must propagate, whatever insane law that we must pass, we will do it because we are winners and we will stay on top.
USA, USA, USA. That's all I got energy for.
That's all you need, because today I'm going to talk about one of those batshit insane laws.
Okay.
Appropriately titled, the Guano Islands Act of 1856.
Oh, we're going back to the 1850s. Also, guano, like bat poo?
So, yes.
Or not. Bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're not sorry. You're correct. So I was going to say, if you're like me, everything you know about guano comes from Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Yes, absolutely.
Shikaka, all that, bat poo. I
need to rewatch that movie.
Like that. I have not seen it for probably 20 years at least.
Same. Yeah.
I have no idea
Hopefully
if it holds up.
up.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see.
But yes, I was exactly like you, like Shikaka. And through the research of this tab, I was devastated to learn that the film was in fact not 100% accurate, save for one fact. Guano is indeed extremely valuable. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bat poop.
Oh, is this about selling poop?
It also comes from seabirds, which is what we'll be focusing on today. This is going to get weird.
All right. I'm already going down this weird like tunnel. It's like, bat poop, seabirds. So wait, guano, when you say guano, that means, is it like any kind of flying animal poop or just poop in general?
I believe it has to do with birds. And like, I don't know if it's all bird poo, but I know specifically for what I did, I didn't go down like the super deep rabbit hole of like all kinds of classification. But from what I can tell, it said seabirds and like bats. So it has something to do with their digestive tracts. So obviously I'm not a farmer, as you can tell, but I can explain
to you. What did your mom say?
You have
hands of a prince.
Have the hands of a prince who's never worked a day in his life, because I don't have rough hands. I have soft artist hands. No, she said artist hands. She's like, you have artist hands, which she's 100% correct. I'm not good with manual labor.
So do I.
I will supervise the shit out of a manual labor organization. But you give me like a pickaxe, I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. It's not how my brain works.
I'm the opposite. I would collapse if someone put me in charge of a mine.
Yeah,
if they're like, dig, I'd be like, dope.
You're a digger.
Should we start mining?
Yeah, I could supervise the entire thing. I could make sure that it's all on task and on schedule, and we get a lot of resources from it and make it exciting.
We already do that with the podcast.
Exactly.
So never mind. Anyway. Continue.
So just a quick primer onto why guano is so based, which in this case, we're talking about Peruvian guano.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So guano...
It's not guano unless it's from Peruvia.
I guess that's the only authentic Peruvia, my favorite country in all of South America.
America.
Guano is particularly rich in nitrogen and phosphorus, which basically means it has phossy jaw.
Oh.
Yeah. And
hey, call back.
Yeah, this is important for farmers because much like Brondo, it's got what plants crave. Remember that thing I was explaining to you?
Yes. It's go. Yes.
That's a shout out to Idiocracy for anybody who's not seen that movie. As the crops grow in the ground, they absorb these nutrients naturally from the soil. But if you're trying to stay in one place and grow stuff like over and over again, you run the risk of depleting all that good stuff from your land. And this is where fertilizer comes in. And it's like giving your soil that vitamin smoothie it needs in the morning in order to fight off like anemia or a crippling vitamin B deficiency.
Except with this smoothie, there is poop in it.
It's poop smoothie. Listen, I would not put it past half these people in Los Angeles to start being like, yeah, shit is really good for your bowel movements. Although there's like poop transplants and stuff. I know that.
Yeah, dude. I've looked at that about not to do it, but I've heard about poop transplants.
Yeah, it's like
it like resets your stomach or your bowels or whatever.
Yeah, so it's not. There's some truth to it, but your run of the mill manure. So I don't know. I was again. I tried not to get too much into the sciencey stuff because I get overwhelmed very quickly and I'm not smart. But I will leave it I will leave it to the listeners to sort of like fill in the appropriate statistics here. But
okay.
Basically, let's just say there's not a lot in regular manure in terms of like how much nitrogen and phosphorus is in it. But a little bit of guano can get up to like a whopping 20% nitrogen and 4 or 5% phosphates. So it's significant. Like it's like at least 3 or 4 times as much, and it's much less. So it's much more concentrated in the amount that it's in. Again, you're thinking 1800s where you're throwing, cow manure on there, and this is something that's smaller. It's much more potent. So
whoa. So it's valuable.
It's very valuable. And so then the next question I had was like, well, so why are guano nutrient levels so high up? Like they're in the top 1% sailing around on sinking yachts and getting attacked by orcas. What's the deal?
As they should.
Yeah.
We need the sacrifice.
Exactly.
To the ocean. Again,
not a scientist, but from what I can understand, birds don't pee in the same way that mammals do. Did you know this already?
Right. I'll tell you why I knew this.
Okay.
Is because having a kid, I have 2 kids.
That's a bird.
And one of them's a bird, and it really hurt coming out with the beak. No, I just like closed up. Sorry. What was I saying?
You were talking about...
I just reset myself.
Why so you know that birds don't have... sorry. Yes, continue.
My kid was like, she's at the age where she's like, why this and why that? And wants to know literally everything. And she knows that Google's a thing, that I can look up pictures of things. Mm-hmm. So one day she comes up to me and she's like, what does a chicken vagina look like? And I was like,
I've never thought to look. I'm curious now.
I don't know. Wait, so I looked it up. No, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And they don't have one. They have a cloaca.
Yep. There you go.
They have a cloaca, which is a bothy.
A bothy, yes.
It poops and pees out of the same hole.
You got it right. That's exactly what I was going to say. And urine tends to be where a lot of, like, obviously, like nitrogen and all that stuff is stored.
Oh, didn't know that.
Not stored, but it's where it tends to be. When it's processed in the body, it ends up mostly in your urine more than it does, which is not to say it doesn't end up in your poo as well, but it's mostly in the urine. So, and because birds, I guess, don't even have bladders, so they don't store urine. And it's like you don't have like a bunch of pee and then you hold it and then you pee out. It just, it gets processed all weird, and then it gets mixed with the feces and then comes out, as you said, in the cloaca. So it all comes out as one. It's not like 2 separate areas. And cloaca is also, like you said, where they give birth, or like not give birth, but like lay eggs. It's like one magic hole where everything happens in it. So
one magic hole.
And so the reason why this is significant is because it retains all of the, everything that's in there, all those nutrients. And because in Peru, like coastal Peru, around that area, it's very dry. And so the guano doesn't get, when it's left behind on the sides of the island, it doesn't get washed away by like rain or humidity or anything like that. It all stays like intact.
Caked on there.
Exactly. It gets caked and it retains everything, and it piles up and it gets really high over time. And then pretty soon, bam, you got a cookie dookie. Or dookie cookie, depending on how you want to go with it.
A dookie.
A dookie cookie. Yeah, the dookie.
Speaking of LA, that's going to be a new bakery somebody opens up.
Somebody has like a Pizookie like at BJ's, but this is the dookie.
Paduki. That's insulting to Pazuki.
Anyway, as you might expect,
this episode's insane.
It is, as opposed to every other episode that's totally normal.
Well, This one's just maybe a little bit more
unhinged.
I don't know, unhinged. Yeah.
It's going to get even weirder. So
really?
Yes.
Okay.
So as you might expect, locals in the area in Peru were like, yeah, obviously, like they've known about this for centuries. Like the Incan Empire used it, and probably even like further back. They're like, yeah, we know. But maybe they just like didn't realize how good they had it, because they were just like, yeah, this stuff's real good. You put it on the crops and it gets a good yield and blah, blah, blah. They were fine. And then until the year 1802, a German explorer and scientist named Alexander von Humboldt arrived in Peru. And he was this dude who he was like an explorer. He wasn't like a Christopher Columbus explorer. He was more of like a man just going around like learning stuff and being like, oh, this is, I mean, I guess.
Cool.
I didn't do a super deep dive onto him, but I didn't necessarily see him coming in and trying to kill a bunch of natives. It sounds like he was just like, oh,
there wasn't
cool.
like a genocide tab on his
I
Wikipedia.
didn't see it. It was kind of long. I might have missed it, to be fair, but no, I think he was doing a bunch of writing, and he was like, he was kind of like a journalist type person for this,
like a Darwin.
Yeah. So when he got to Peru, he was told the nearby Chincha Islands were deep in layers of bird poo that were massively popular with the Peruvian farmers. And so he went and he saw the islands and he like dug up like a little bit of it, and like he wrote a whole thing, and then he brought it back with him to Europe with like this small sample.
Oh, and no.
To be fair, like I said, Alex, I don't think he was like, I don't get the sense that he was trying to be like, let's ruin this. I think he was just like, oh, here's this cool, like, interesting thing I found. Like, oh, isn't it interesting that scientifically, like the Peruvians have this. That's interesting. Like, we don't have that necessarily. Yeah. I wonder if this is just like, he wasn't sure. He was like, I wonder if this is like a thing. And so he brought back the samples, and they took it to a couple farmers, and they tested it. I guess some of the crops like allegedly doubled or even like tripled their yield as far as what they had. And so the next thing you know,
that's how good it works.
Yeah, it works at least comparatively to what people were using before that.
Wow.
And so next thing you know, everyone's losing their shit over this A-grade like Peruvian bird brick. They're just like, this is quality shit.
This is uncut, high quality fertilizer.
And by the 1840s, guano becomes a full-blown industry. Full-blown.
Oh,
it was commercially mined, transported, and sold in Germany, France, England, and eventually the United States.
Imagine being the captain of the ship that just brings the bird poo back to England. You know?
Not a good job.
That's all. What if Dracula got on that ship?
Yeah, right? He was just trying to do his transformation, but he can't because it smells so weird.
And he's like, oh.
He wakes up all strange.
Dude, so Dracula could have a business. If he transformed into a seagull and just constantly...
Oh, it's like a self-perpetuating business. Yeah, he doesn't even need anybody.
Guano.
Oh, man.
Dracula?
Birds are doing it wrong. Yeah, birds should be doing this.
They are.
Not. Use your own body to make it.
You don't have to... Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's my $1 million idea is be a vampire and also a shapeshifter and make my own guano.
If any bird entrepreneurs are listening, let us know. For all of our bird listener base.
Please sell your poo.
Sell your poo. So just to give you a sense of the scale, initially 182 tons were shipped to England. But by the 1860s, that number rose to 435,000 tons.
A year?
Yes.
Whoa, it's a lot of poo.
Quite a lot. Lot. And because this wasn't something lame like soccer or a functioning healthcare system that only Europeans wanted, America was like, dude, let me in on that shit, bro.
Give me some of that guano.
Because they heard like it was doubling or tripling the yields on crops. But even with the yield boosts, U.S. farmers were pretty pissed off about the price of guano because it was really expensive. There's a guy named Jimmy Skaggs who wrote a book called The Great Guano Rush, and he explains, there's an excerpt from it. It says, in 1850, at a time when a single dollar could purchase a man's tailor-made suit, median agrarian income in the U.S. stood at about $690 annually, representing the return on a hypothetical average farm of 202 acres. However, most American farmers, north, south, and west, actually tilled far smaller tracts of land, fewer than 100 acres, and earned substantially less than $200 annually. So to expend half that annual income for merely enough bird droppings to fertilize 20 acres was an extravagance many farmers simply could not afford.
That is so expensive.
It is. It's crazy. It's basically half their income would have gone to...
half your annual? Oh my gosh.
And they don't even have the average like 200 acres.
you could buy 300 suits with that money. Instead, they have to buy guano.
They have to buy guano instead.
Tuxes.
Oh, you know what I forgot to do?
Is that what they said?
Tuxedos, tailor-made suit. So adjusted for inflation, $200 in 1850 is worth about roughly $8,000 today. Is what their annual income was.
That's not a lot.
So if you were spending $50, let's say, on a ton, it was about $2,000. If you were making, but they're making less than they're making less than $200. They were saying. So it's a significant amount of your income was being spent on that, and that became the standard where people were like, now that this guano has hit the market, everybody is expected to have that level of return. So they're in this precarious position where they don't have enough. The costs are too high. And like I said, by 1815, guano accounted for 22% of all commercial fertilizer consumed in the United States. And within 10 years, that number jumped to 43%. And at that time, it went to about $73 a ton. Oh, and so farmers are pissed.
That's so
and there's like, we don't know what to do. We're being priced out. We don't have enough for these resources. And also there's nothing locally that we could do. There's not a lot of like, seabirds going around shitting in the middle of like Idaho. So
actually here's the thing.
Oh, are there?
Yeah. So in southern Idaho and northern Utah, our state bird in Utah is a seagull because we have the Salt Lake. Yeah.
So I was literally just saying Idaho like randomly, but okay, interesting.
I know. But and here I come swooping in with a weird fact, but
I love
seagulls were
swooping in like the seagull that you are, shitting and pissing in the same breath.
That's our out my mouth? Is that what you're saying in the same breath? How'd you know? No. The seagulls would come out at recess and like after we were eating, and they would just like swarm the table where we were sitting and eat all of our food. And I was like, we're in a desert, and it's the California seagull. That's our state bird. Anyway.
So the farmers all get pissed and they start lobbying Congress. And at this time, about 80% of Americans lived on a farm, and 75% of the gross national product was tied to agriculture. So
whoa,
the fat cats in Washington were like, oh yeah, we're going to need to do something about this because people are going to like lose their minds.
We don't want to be overthrown.
Overthrown, exactly.
Farmers.
And also, as you alluded to earlier, not just because of the high price, but because fake guano had started to become a problem.
Of course.
So literal shit swindling had become an industry.
My great grandpa was a shit swindler.
So instead of like pure shit, people were getting their shit cut with shit.
Oh, like cow and other ones? Wow, what a ripoff.
So there's a magazine that was published in 1855. It was called The Southern Planter. And they had an article where they said, quote, "We were informed that an article known as Mexican guano was taken to an establishment near Newark, New Jersey, where they mixed it with plaster, salt, sugar house scum," which I don't know what the hell that is.
What is sugar house scum?
I don't want to know. Peruvian guano and quick lime, the whole thing ground up together and put in bags.
Lime?
Yeah. Marked Chilean guano.
So it's like the drug trade.
It's literally like the drug trade, but with shit.
I'm thinking about getting into the shit trade.
And this goes all the way to the top, with the importance of guano even being mentioned in President Millard Fillmore's first State of the Union address. He talks about guano in that.
Yes. What does he say?
I didn't pull the whole speech, but it's basically some sort of like, he sort of just mentions the importance of it in the State of the Union and being like part of his promises of stuff that he's going to do.
I love that.
And he does. And he doesn't actually get it done during his presidency, but it is a process that started, and I forget who the next president is after him, but it gets signed into law. So what Millard Fillmore does is that he brings a man named William Stewart aboard. Oh. And Stewart was born at the turn of the century, and he grew up on a farm roughly 60 miles northwest of New York City. And much like me, he's not one for manual labor. He's not very good. But he does eventually grow up to serve in a life of politics. But despite that, he grew up and he understood that hashtag farm life. He gets it. He understands how farmers think and how to communicate with them. And because of that, and like I said, like 80% of the country grew up on farms. He becomes like a very important sort of communicator and translator of like what their needs are versus like what the administration can do for them. And he's a politician, an American politician. And he knows how to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, here's the thing. What if instead of leveraging something and negotiating a better deal with the Peruvians for lower prices, we just stole land that doesn't belong to us and also doesn't belong to anyone. Oh,
that's how land. Yeah, that's that worked before. Why wouldn't it work again?
With this in mind, he spearheaded the titular tab, the Guano Islands Act of 1856, which is still in play today, by the way.
What? Okay.
Yep.
I love this. Okay.
This is going to get dumber. 48 U.S. Code Section 1411 states, quote, whenever any citizen of the United States discovers a deposit of guano on any rock, island, or key not within the lawful jurisdiction of any other government and not occupied by the citizens of any other government, and takes peaceable possession thereof and occupies the same such island, rock, or key, may at the discretion of the president be considered as appertaining to the United States. End quotes. I will explain. Basically,
it's a land grab under the guise of poop manufacture.
Exactly. If you got bird so if you're sailing around and you see like a little island and it's got bird shit on it and it's in international waters, you can squat there with the blessing of POTUS, and now that belongs to the United States.
Wait. Okay, so if I can get on a boat and go find an abandoned island, and if there's poop on it, I can say it's mine?
You can say it belongs to the United States. Oh. You can say it's ours. You're now. One more thing. So Congress, in that same action, deputized every American citizen to claim territory, which, as far as I can tell, had never been done before or since. I don't know. So you can do that.
It's my American right.
It's your
quote
American
unquote claim
right
territory
to claim shit islands. There it is. It took a lot of technical explanation to get there, but this was the reaction I was hoping for.
I'm so happy right now. I need a poop island.
Poop island.
Instead of Love Island? No, here we go. I'm going to have a reality TV show called Poop Island. And instead of Love Island, we're going to put a bunch of
shit on an island.
Yeah, and then see who wins? No, we got to race to the island, and whoever gets the most poop wins.
I mean, so this is basically what starts to unfold.
No. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm having a reaction.
Good. That's what you want. Cue the American flag waving behind us right now, just like this.
America, America.
And of course, it's America, and it's the 1850s, so it starts to get not pretty.
Yeah, people weren't great.
People weren't great. Yeah, they weren't like nice to other humans and didn't necessarily consider them humans or like respect anything.
There was some light massacring happening.
Anyway, so in 1857, Peter Duncan and Edward Cooper of Maryland discovered that Navassa Island off the coast of Haiti held 1 million tons of guano.
That's so much poo.
However, the Haitian government felt that Navassa Island was definitely, quote, within the lawful jurisdiction of Haiti.
Oh.
Regardless of Haiti's claim, Duncan and Cooper claimed it for the United States under the Guano Islands Act.
Why would it stop us? Why would it being owned by someone stop us? Never did before.
President James Buchanan was like, you know what? Duncan and Cooper, solid bros. I approve of this annexation. You've got my full weight behind you.
Buchanan.
That story gets crazy, and I might save it for another day.
Okay.
But the sort of cliff notes you need to know right now is that this goes on for the course of like well over 100 years being disputed.
The Haitian poop island takes 100 years of dispute.
I don't even know if it's still officially like resolved. I think like the last time they brought the case to court was like 1996 or something. It was like long time. Also, a bunch of other horrible shit happens in between.
I'm so happy.
I had to really like stop myself because it was like this topic is very broad, and like I was like every one of these has like really weird stories that you can derive from it. So I tried to keep it like as concise as I could. Anyway, I reserve the right to maybe look into that at one point.
Yeah.
But and of course, as you can imagine, it also led to a lot of horrific working conditions.
Yeah.
For miners, and you were talking about sailors, people being exposed to like toxicity in the air and like suffocating fumes. It's
still poop.
And it's not like in the 1850s they've got like, you know, gas masks or like, you know, they don't have N95 masks and stuff like that. You're like
just
at
raw
best,
dog
maybe
and shit
like
island.
Literally, you're raw dog and shit island. You're putting like a cloth around your mouth at best, but it's also hot and dry, like in all these places that there are. And of course, there's a lot of egregious human rights abuses. Of course, there's your run-of-the-mill traditional slavery that was happening at the time.
Oh, that's right.
With a total disregard for everything. And then it also extended to, I guess, what they would call like I don't know, it's not a technical term, but it was sort of like bait and switch kind of variety of human trafficking and slavery that involved Native Hawaiians and Chinese immigrants. A lot of them had to do with like these weird fake contracts that like said one thing that like didn't specify something, and then when they got there they were like, oh, guess what, like we didn't say the start or end date because of translation and you misunderstood this, and now you have to literally like peddle shit for however long that like we tell you to, and basically all these people died and got sick. It's horrific.
That tracks.
Yeah. Anyway, it gets awful. It gets ugly. It gets disgusting.
Sad.
It gets like terrible. And of course, so then again, another thing that I was like, this is 15 tabs I could have gone into and I didn't go into, but some of the long coastlines of modern Chile came from after that country invaded Peru to get more guano. Like that was the whole thing. This is like a huge thing in the 1800s. Like,
Chile looks like that because of guano?
I mean, I don't know the entire part of it, but like that starts like some land war with Peru essentially, where they take parts of it. It's crazy. At its peak, more than 100 islands were claimed for the United States under the Guano Islands Act. And there's a list. You can see them. You can find it on Wikipedia if you just look up Guano Islands Act islands. There's way too many to list, obviously.
I won't do it right now, but I will do it.
But they're around Central America, the Caribbean, Micronesia, the Cook Islands, and just generally like out in like the vastness of the Pacific Ocean. There's all kinds of places that America just came in and they're like, yep, this is ours now. We got it.
That is nuts.
It's nuts. They just went for it. I mean, and again, it's interesting to think about like there's no like this is what's so interesting. I was thinking about this, about like so many of these stories that we end up talking about in the 1800s, at least stuff that I like, is that it's like it's this weird meeting point of like the sort of legality and the structure of the modern world with like the Industrial Revolution and law and patents and all that crap. But it also still has like the insanity of like what people thought and like the old days where people just had no idea because science hadn't like taught them about basic things like you shouldn't be mining shit for like 50 hours a day. And
but
like
science did
everyone's
teach
gonna
them
die.
how to do it. They didn't know what they were doing. That's like classic, like, you know, the radium girls licking the radium off of the
the Fosse drive and like we were talking about too, like same thing.
We're too smart.
So
it's
also smart,
too
but still
dumb.
so dumb. Yeah. Which I still stand by the fact that like we continue to exist in that, but now because it has to do with like tech and technology being like part of this new structure, but like we're still in sort of this weird old insane paradigm. Idea. And I think we'll do that over and over again until the human race
destroy
gets wiped
ourselves.
out.
Yeah,
exactly. Also, I don't have time to add all 100 islands to the 500 Open Roads Google Maps list. But if anyone out there, if you want to do it, or if anyone's got a bunch of time on their hands, let us know. You can go sit here and add every single island to it. Also, I don't know the likelihood of anyone going to visit those islands. They're very far away.
Unless you already...
and if you're listening to this and if you're in Micronesia or the Cook Islands or somewhere around there in like the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, you could probably go and take some pictures. Let us know. Predictably, by the 1880s, most of the Guano Islands had been mined beyond profit and importing had more or less stopped.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like a rush, right? We just went in.
We chipped all that poop right off of those islands, huh?
Right. And they weren't necessarily, it's like anything, like you're not contributing to the ecosystem. The birds are sort of like, what's going on? Like there's all these people coming. Where's my poo? And this put pressure on scientists and farmers to come up with some new shit, which eventually led to the invention of synthetic fertilizer at the turn of the century.
Oh.
Because they're sort of like, we've become used to this thing. Again, all this tech and science stuff is figuring out.
Well, also, again, like, the population needs better fertilizer to even be able to eat. Like, we can't go back to how we were before. Yeah. We have to figure something out to feed people.
Yeah, and they couldn't figure it out, and they couldn't, like, they're not bringing a bunch of seabirds to the States. It wouldn't be able to have been done with that level of, and also the climate is really specific to all those islands where they were. It's like, unless you were to do it in some sort of a controlled environment where you can make sure that, like, the guano is going into something that's dry, it wasn't going to happen, especially not at that time. So scientists come up with eventually synthetic fertilizer is invented, which is what we use today. And again, I'm not Mr. Science type person, but I did read that undiluted man-made fertilizer can go from anywhere from like 16 to 45% nitrogen, which is like double to triple depending on what the potency of the guano was. So it's far more nutrients in it than guano had.
Whoa! So
again,
perfected it.
If there was more science, there was way more science than I could have delved into.
Oh yeah.
Hand first, like Dr. Ellie Sattler, but I'm not that smart, so I'll just leave it to the audience to fact check anything, and they can let us know in a polite and friendly, actually email about how all that works. Mm-hmm. And I do know that guano is still a pretty big industry. It's like $1 billion industry or something still to this point. I would imagine there's still a bunch of stuff in it that, like, the synthetic doesn't exactly get, right? Like, there's some mixture of whatever. I imagine that particularly in, Peru and all these other places where it was big, it's still like a very important part of their GDP and how they grow their plants. And it sort of contributes to, whatever, if they have like coffee, for example, or, a specific taste or flavor that mixes in.
Oh.
So it's there. It's not like the industry went away, but as far as it being like a gigantic, industry that like the entire world was
clamoring over.
Yeah. It's no longer the thing. So as of today, all but 10 islands claimed under the Guano Islands Act have been withdrawn. Although, as I mentioned earlier, the law is still in play. So as an American citizen, you are deputized, and it is your God-given right to squat on any island covered in guano and not formally claimed by another nation state as property of these United States of America.
And you know what? I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
That is insane. I can't even believe that I could legally do that.
You could legally do it. Not only legally do it, but you're encouraged to do it.
It's part of my rights.
Yeah. The president, whoever he or she will be in 2025, will support you. They will support your right to do that. I don't think there's a lot of islands left.
I'm going to do that, and then it's going to get a ton of press for the podcast. Because it's going to become a whole thing,
Help us get to, huge following through claiming islands.
Yeah. That'll look good. A white lady claiming an island in the middle of like the South Pacific. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my tab.
I loved that. I loved
I thought you would.
What a weird world we live in. Like,
it's truly strange. And a lot of people were saying that this is sort of the first big push for American colonialism, like the first like legal structure for it in a way, because before that, it was more about like expanding into the Wild West. It was like kind of continental colonialism, if you will.
Right.
But like keeping it on the continent, on the mainland. But this
outside.
Is like, we're going to go out. Seward, by the way, I wasn't going to get into this because it was too long. That guy also helped orchestrate the purchase of Alaska.
That's how I knew that name.
And additionally, he was the third person that, what's his name? John Wilkes Booth and whatever the other dude's name was that killed Lincoln. And then they tried to, I forget who the vice president. Seward was the third guy that they tried to kill.
What? Okay. Yeah.
That's a whole story too.
I know. I have a tab open on it. That's how I recognized his name.
Oh, about Seward?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you because it might be on the docket.
I read like a little bit about like his attempted assassination, which I thought was really insane and funny.
Yeah.
I mean, not funny, but it was ridiculous. Funny. It's a little bit absurd, but yeah, I was like, oh, this guy's got a lot going on. There's a lot of interesting stuff with Seward.
Fascinating.
But again, I had to keep it to the shit.
Good thing we have a podcast that gives us free reign to talk about whatever we want.
I love it.
Me
It's
too.
The best.
It's the best.
Anyway, thank you for listening to that. I think
Thank you.
We're getting up to our point where we're going to close our tabs.
Yeah.
What have we got? What do you think? Oh, I was so into this, I didn't even send you any pictures.
I didn't either. None.
That's probably a good sign.
So yeah, do we want to do something with like birds or the sound of
birds shitting
poop?
and like the shit hitting? I don't know. I feel like we've done a lot of shit stuff.
Whose fault is that? Ours. Okay.
Not mine. I've never talked about shit before ever. But this was, I almost like didn't do this because I was like, I talked a lot about, I'm like, people are going to think I'm like obsessed with shit. Yeah. I'm really not that obsessed with shit. I mostly thought like the legality of it was like totally insane.
Poop's always funny. All right.
Was there something funny from the, I'm like, we can't have vampire tits. That's not really a sound effect.
No.
Oh, I'm like, is it weird to have a television playing in the background of an orgy? I don't know how that engages in closing.
I don't think we can do that. I'm going to say that right now. How about how about the Wilhelm scream? No, that doesn't make any sense.
A ship crashing. How about that?
A ship crashing. Yeah.
A ship crashing.
Or something getting torn apart by a wolf.
Okay, let's do that. I think we've actually even used that for the.
I think we have.
And what's his name? Stump.
Peter Stump. Yeah.
Peter Stump episode. We can just reuse that one.
Alyssa, just recycle it.
Recycle it back to the Peter Stump episode of this podcast.
Okay, you want to count down?
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Nice. That felt great. I'm closing multiple.
Yeah, I had a lot open for this.
Me too.
Moving on to listener emails. I believe you're up first, actually.
Yeah. Mine is, this email comes from Verena from Aberdeen, Scotland. So that's our first Scottish person, I think. Hello, tab addicts. I'm coming to you from sunny Aberdeen, the one in Scotland, not in North Dakota. And while it is currently pissing it down, Aberdeen is the sunniest city in the UK, so that isn't wholly sarcastic. Even if being the sunniest city in the UK is kind of like being the most the most sexually adventurous girl in the convent. Okay, I've spent the last few weeks listening to all of the episodes after finally catching up on musical splaining and discovering it is no more. But I think I can say I followed both of you here because as an ex-Mormon, the Book of Mormon episode was my favorite.
Oh, very good. That was the episode that Hannah Hillam was a guest on.
I was on it.
Listen to it now.
I have a truly delightful tab for you today. It concerns the Speaker of the House of Commons, Lindsay Hoyle. The Speaker of the Commons is kind of fundamentally the opposite of the U.S. Speaker of the House, whereas the Speaker of the House is elected by the majority, occasionally in some Thunderdome-style shit. The Speaker of the Commons has to come from the opposition party when they are originally appointed, resign their party affiliation when they take the job so they can be neutral, and have to be elected unanimously. So it always is someone that everyone trusts and is super chill. I kind of like that.
That's cool. I kind of like that. I'm into that.
Lindsay Hoyle is just such a chill guy and also a noted animal lover. He even met Jonathan, the tortoise. And I like how you gasped. Like your breath was like caught in your
Celebrity
throat.
sighting.
And unlike
Jonathan.
And unlike some people, they seemed to get along and have a nice time together. And there's a photo.
Didn't surf on him.
He didn't. He got down on his level. And
good.
And
that's how you know this
him.
guy's on the level, quite literally.
Yeah. On to my tab. So the Parliament building is old and right by the Thames, and so it's got 5,000 little nooks and crannies where rats and mice sneak in. During the David Cameron government what is officially the only good thing that guy did for the country, a few political offices got mousing cats, like Larry, and they commissioned a study to see if they could do that for the Parliament building. It turns out it would take a small herd of cats for Parliament's mousing needs. So pretty much Parliament is so full of mice, you just need a bunch of cats. Hoyle heard about this news and was like, dope, I've got Battersea Dog and Cat Home on speed dial. Let's do this. But the staffers were like, no, that's too many cats. And he was like, maybe just one cat for my office. And he got Attlee, named after the prime minister who founded the welfare state, Clement Attlee. This huge Maine Coon that's cute as hell and has a sweet Instagram account. Attlee wanders around all the offices and serves as a therapy cat for tired staffers. Then Hoyle was like, look, this second cat just showed up at my door all hungry and stuff. And so now they also have a slinky black cat named Clement.
Classic cat owner behavior.
Yep. The permanent staffers are still like, Mr. Speaker, we can't have a small herd of cats, but I believe he can slowly wear them down. It's just the more eco-friendly mousing solution. I assume the next 2 cats will be named Aniran and Bevan, which Aniran Bevan was the Welsh dude who started the NHS, the National Healthcare.
I like that you know all this.
Yeah, dude. There's a huge statue of Aniran Bevan in Cardiff that it's the most awkward statue on earth, covered in bird poo and slightly leaning. It looks like he has to poop his pants. Anyway, thanks for the many hours of good times with unhinged historical retellings. Keep it Josie. Verena. P.S. My boyfriend works in tech support and wanted me to tell you, are you history's greatest monsters? Haven't you ever heard of bookmarks? What is wrong with you people? But, don't take that too seriously. Here's the thing. Bookmarks are a black hole. You put them in a bookmark, they're gone forever.
Never see them again.
You'll never see them again. Out of sight, out of mind.
Visual bookmarks, being able to actually see stuff.
I love that the Speaker of the House of Commons is a cat guy, and he just brings cats in. Amazing.
Great. I'm sure there's people there that absolutely love that and would love to go to work with a bunch of feral cats running around the offices, and it would really help them focus. They love to hear cats meowing at them and snoring and generally just being a delight.
I like that we have your side of this as well, because to me I'm like, oh, delightful, and then it's nice to hear the other side of the coin.
They're fine. Cats are fine.
At work?
Fine.
Maybe not.
I don't care. Okay. Email number 2 is from Jay. Hi, I'm JWX on the Discord.
Oh, hey.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way,
JWX.
Verena is also on the Discord.
Oh, no shit. Awesome.
Yeah.
Join the Discord if you haven't.
Yeah.
That's where all the cool conversations are happening. Anyway, hi, I'm JWX on the Discord, and I have beef with the mass advertising machine. You and us both. If you've turned on a TV or been in a space where you could be advertised to, you've probably seen ads for Lume or other, quote, full body deodorant products. I can't say that I have, Hannah, because I don't smell like death.
It's not quite death.
Yeah.
Listen, I
Hannah,
smell.
what did you say your mom said? You look like death? That's what
you look like a corpse.
You look like a corpse. I'm sorry. I don't smell like a corpse is what I meant to say.
She's always like, put some blush on. You look like a corpse. I'm like, Mom, I'm just a white person. That's why I look like a corpse. You should just put on even more white, make it look even more corpsey. Oh, good idea. Yeah, I get the ads for Lume all the time. And you know what? I fell for it. Seen it. And I bought one. And guess what? I'll tell you after. Go.
Okay. They go on to say, I've been inundated with them like a child in a proverbial candy store. It's so excessive. And for what? I don't even know anyone who uses these products. So I opened a tab about it, except for Hannah Hillam, of course.
I don't use it. I bought it.
Yeah. Oh, you bought it, but you never used it. I see.
No. Oh, I used it, but I don't anymore.
In the process, I learned a lot about the science of sweat and its relationship with the way we smell, but also that when it boils all down to it, these ads are designed to, surprise, sell stuff to people who don't need it. It's entirely superfluous, but number of dollars needs to go up. I pulled the tab in order to have some facts. So it says, quote, the sweat in our armpits is different, quite different from the sweat that covers your body, says Andrew Best, a biological anthropologist who studies sweat at the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts. Imagine being a sweat studier.
At a liberal arts college.
Listen, all he needs to do is come watch the two of us while we're recording in 100-degree heat with these headphones over our ears, and he'll just be like, this is not why I got into sweat studying. This is too much.
I didn't go to sweat school for this.
Yeah, I didn't go to 4 years of sweat school just to watch idiot podcasters sweat and scream. He goes on to say, that's because the rest of your body is covered with eccrine sweat glands. Eccrine. It looks like it's eccrine. Apologies. With eccrine sweat glands, whose product is a more watery, salty liquid that's less appealing to bacteria, but does a bang-up job of keeping us cool.
Yes, it does.
Eccrine sweat is what covers most of our body during exercise. It might occasionally evoke recently ingested food and drink, with particular piquant notes after a garlic bread binge or a very boozy night.
Whoa.
Still, because it's not well suited for bacterial consumption, eccrine sweat doesn't usually generate the odors that apocrine. I think apocrine sweat does.
So the armpit sweat, it doesn't make you smell like that one.
Yeah, your body doesn't make you sweat. It's your armpit sweat. Also, it's like all under your armpit and hidden and dark. So I think that's probably where more bacteria can generate.
Forbidden.
It's not getting sunlight. Forbidden sweat.
It's the forbidden sweat. Don't touch it.
-JWX, and they go on to sign the email. But of course, if you're interested in reading more, it's a Vox article. We'll include the letter in the notes. Sorry,
Dude,
the article in this show
Loom
notes.
is such a racket. I got some because I was like, oh, that sounds good. First of all, it doesn't even work on your armpits. Not at all. It's just like, anyway. And then they sell insane flavors.
Maybe that's why it's not working, because you're trying to eat deodorant the entire time.
I ate the whole stick and I still smelled. They have like insane.
I bet your inside smelled great though.
Sure.
That sounds weird. Yeah.
Thank you. You think my insides smell great. Thanks.
Moving on.
You gonna be okay?
No. You ate deodorant. Continue. Sorry.
No, it just doesn't work.
Drank deodorant. I don't know what it's like.
No, I'd say you eat it. It's a cake.
The only one I remember is Axe. Axe is still around, right? They have like the full body deodorant.
Do you not wear deodorant?
I do wear deodorant. I don't use the full body one though. I actually don't wear antiperspirant. I've only worn. Fun fact: this is a disgusting story, but I'll say it. But I used to wear antiperspirant when I was younger, and then I read about like all the aluminum and like. I'm not like a person who's like, I don't wear anything, and then I smell bad. I just was like, I don't like the concept of antiperspirant seems just horrible for your body. It seems like putting a plug in your butt and your urethra and be like, I'm just not going to shit or piss because it smells weird. It just felt like, I was like, this is terrible. And I'll never forget. Like once I stopped using antiperspirant for like the first couple months, it was like my armpit smelled like death. And it was because all this stuff that had never gotten out of my body came out, and I was like, oh. So I do not wear antiperspirant, but I do wear deodorant, but anyway, now it's become smell-o-vision for everybody on the YouTube.
Loom has like flavors that I'm going to say flavors. One of them is like pumpkin spice, and I saw that and I was like, no, why would I ever use pumpkin spice deodorant? Like
Seasonal.
Truly hits the back of my throat, makes me want to puke. But no, it's not a spray. It's a stick. You just rub the stick all over your body, which I didn't do.
The stick on your body?
I use it for my armpits, but people use it for like the crotch and stuff.
That seems so weird.
Doesn't seem right. Doesn't
seem right. I wouldn't rub a stick on my body for deodorant. That seems
unless they want to sponsor us.
Yeah, that's true. In which case, we will absolutely peddle your crap. Yeah. We don't care. I will literally shill anything at this point.
And he'd chill Guano.
Listen, am I trying to stop my like wrists from sweating? Like what is I can't.
Thighs.
My head's gonna explode.
Inner thighs.
Your thighs? Okay, inner thighs, I guess. But that's like with talcum powder and whatever.
Thigh rub or whatever. That's right. Yeah. Just talcum. Yeah. Are you 80?
Yeah, like me.
Just put a little talcum powder on it.
Put a little talcum powder on there. A little bit of guano in the back of your ears and you'll be good as new.
Put a little bit of cocaine on your gums, you're fine.
Cocaine on your gums. Get back to work. Mining guano. Anyway, on that note,
I'm glad we can both do that accent. It's good.
It's a fun one. Why don't you tell everybody how to submit stuff to us?
So, if you want to submit one of your own tabs or deep dives, just email us at 500opentabs@gmail.com. The number's 500opentabs. And if you want to follow us on Patreon, we got a bunch of fun exclusive stuff on there, including an AMA that's super fun. And we have a Discord, and that's going to be linked. And
also, we have a YouTube channel where you can watch all of this. We're trying to make a push by the end of the year to reach, again, we're very small. It would be great. Most of our traffic comes from the podcast, but we'd like to grow the YouTube channel more.
Yeah.
If you can help us reach like just 1,000 followers, it's not
that's
that
our
many.
goal.
Yeah, our goal is
if you enjoyed
subscribers, not followers.
If you enjoyed this episode, that is the best way you can help us, is just to follow and interact with things on YouTube and Instagram. But please, even if you don't watch it on YouTube,
just subscribe and then mute us. It doesn't matter. If we can reach like a certain number, if we just reach like 1,000 right now, we'll get like, they'll tell us we're nice people and they'll tell us that we smell good and we don't need deodorant.
Yeah.
But if you share this show with somebody that you know, that you like, that you think they would like it. If someone shared this show with you, please keep it going and share it with someone else that you think they might like. We're trying to push out as much as we can and spread by word of mouth.
Especially people who love Dracula. There's a lot of them. Send this
Dracula,
episode.
If you love bird pee poo.
Yeah.
If you
Cloaca
love
fans?
Cloacas.
Perfect.
If you want to take over islands. Listen, I'm now a legal advisor to everybody who listens to this podcast. You can take over an island if there's poo on it and if there's nobody else that's claimed it.
Yeah.
Additionally, of course, we are at 500 Open Tabs on Instagram. I'm at PermaFriends on Instagram, and then you're at Hannah Hillam.
At Hannah Hillam. And then, we're going to be in New York Comic Con in October. So October 17th through the 20th. We'll be in Artist Alley.
Thursday through Sunday. We'll be in Artist Alley. We'll be sharing a table together. Come say hello if you're in the area.
Yeah.
Or if you're not in the area, figure out a way to get to New York and then come into the convention and come say hi to us. We will be fine.
We'll be fine.
We won't
be manic.
Interesting.
We'll
not
be
at
fine.
all.
We don't ever get that way.
No, not at all. Certainly not over in New York.
And I have a book coming out on October 8th, Cat People. And I have a bunch of signings set up. So if you are in the Palo Alto area or the San Francisco area, I have signings on the 8th and 9th. And I can put more of this
October.
Of October, yeah. And then I'll be in Pasadena on the 29th of Romans. And then Salt Lake, I just added a new one. Salt Lake on November 1st at the King's English.
King's English.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And there's some other ones. Oh, Powell's, Portland. Powell's in Portland on the 26th at 7 p.m. And there's some other ones that I didn't remember.
That's a lot already. You're literally doing like a world tour.
Too many.
As a musician. Yeah. No, enjoy it. You're going to never experience
It's never
going to
happen
book
again.
Tour. No, I mean, you're never going to have your first book tour ever again.
That's true.
It's going to be your first and hopefully not last. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Come check us out. Follow the links, share, etc. YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube. Don't even watch it. Just subscribe to it.
Yeah, just subscribe.
And until then, Secundus Nixon shat Guano 5 times here and increased the value and the crops yielded triple.
Nothing to add to that. Perfect sign off.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Till next week.
Bye.